let's talk about the Kea Parrot as referenced in this comment. The Kea is a type of parrot native to New Zealand, and it is considered to be the only type of alpine parrot in the world, meaning it lives in quite colder and higher elevation than other parrots typically like to live in. But that is not, by far, the only interesting thing about them. One of the things that they are the most famous for is, as the comment above referenced, a very, very big personality and also being very, very intelligent. So, corvids and parrots are typically considered to be the most intelligent types of birds in the world, specifically African grey and Kea parrots, as well as crows, specifically New Caledonia crows are often referenced as being very, very intelligent. They are very well known for their tool use. They use like sticks and rocks as hammers and just many, many other things. They are very, very good at making tools. There's one specific instance recorded of a parrot that unfortunately had a broken upper beak and was seen using a rock in places where a beak would normally be the thing to use, but unfortunately since its beak was broken, it could not use its beak, so it learned how to use a rock instead and was actually very successful. Now, part of their intelligence is that they're also very, very playful. There's been recordings of one specific sound that these Kea parrots make to other Kea parrots that's basically like, "What's up, it's party time." So when one of these birds makes this sound, or when a researcher that is around makes this sound, all the rest of the Kea parrots in the area are like, "Fuck yeah, it's party time." And they just use it they play. They have a very good time. They are very playful parrots. And their playful personality combined with their intelligence, also makes it so they are a little bit chaotic and mischievous. There's been records of people in New Zealand having pranks pulled on them by these Kea parrots. They steal things from tourists and locals, they get into garbage, they break into things, they use tools, and their intelligence to basically cause problems on purpose, which I vibe with. Now, while Kea parrots aren't typically observed to talk in the same way that African grey and other parrot species do, they are observed to have something similar to their own language. Like I said with the prior vocalization of "it's fucking party time," they also have a bunch of other vocalizations that can be broadly classed into a very, very, very simple language in some ways that have been observed in dolphins and elephants. Now, take this information with a grain of salt because I have only been able to find one source about this, but the source I found did say that genetic analysis of the Kea and humans have reported a very similar language gene called plexin. So the sequence in the plexin gene in both Keas and humans are very similar. They have pretty much the same, like with obviously some differences, sequence in this gene that is hypothesized to be very important in language development. Now again, I could only find one source about this, so I'm not sure how true that is, but if it is true, that would be very cool. Now, some other interesting things about the Kea is that they are omnivorous, meaning they will eat pretty much anything they can. Now, while this tends to be things like fruits and nuts and insects, they will also eat meat. A lot of it. They will, if possible, hunt things like smaller birds and rodents, also feed off of carcasses to get at the meat and the bone marrow. But there's also been verified reports of them eating live sheep. Yeah. So what they do, what they have been seen doing, is they will land on the sheep, they will use their beak to part through all of the thick wool and eat the fat and flesh off of a sheep's back, sides, etc. While the sheep is just like there. It's just like a regular live sheep. It's not like a sheep carcass or anything. Now, while this itself does not kill the sheep, however, if it happens often enough and there's enough blood loss and tissue loss, this can cause problems as well as allowing for infections to potentially set in. So as you can imagine, this bird was not very popular with sheep farmers, so they would often get killed to both protect the sheep and sell their feathers. However, since they are now classified as endangered, it is illegal to kill them in New Zealand because they are protected, so you can get heavy, heavy fines if you're found having to harm one of these, which is good for the parrots. Yeah, I bet you weren't expecting that curveball in what was previously a wholesome video about very smart parrots. So, unfortunately, they are still considered to be endangered, but since they're heavily protected, the population is rebounding, which is good. But yeah, they are probably my favorite parrot species because of their intelligence, their personality, and then just that fun little tidbit of them being a little bit unhinged.